Welcome to Executive Insights, the Next Generation Edition. I'm so excited to introduce my guest today, Emily Xu, a Western University student who has interned with us in the summer. I've known Emily for quite some time, in fact, since the day she was born. But in the last few months, I came to know her in a different capacity as our digital marketing strategist. Emily spoke about the program at Western University and how it has prepared her for her internships in the last 3 years. Emily also offered some really useful advice to her peers looking for work. And she had some thoughts for the prospective employers who are looking at talent from her generation. Hey, Emily, thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're going into your last year at Western University. I'm wondering, how did what you've learned at the university help to prepare you for your internships in the past 3 years?
So the program that I'm currently in is called Media Information and Technoculture, also known as MIT. And we learn about modern communication and information technologies, and it really helps to prepare students for roles in the tech industry. A lot of the things that we're focused on is essentially how tech is changing the world. So we're analyzing different things such as social media, AI and machine learning, virtual reality, and that really helps us show how tech is really evolved in our everyday lives. Aside from my program specifically, just as a student in general in university, you're constantly being put in different group projects with people from all different backgrounds. So you're learning to problem solve, you're learning to collaborate, and you're also learning presentation skills. Those are things that I've really taken into account and have really been useful going into the different internships that I've had. For example, the very first internship I had was as a business development intern with Hitachi Vantara. And going into my first internship, I was incredibly nervous, but being able to have all those skills that I learned throughout school really helped me to reach out and collaborate with different departments. And had I not had those skills before, I wouldn't have made those connections and I wouldn't have been able to work with some really interesting people. And also, a lot of times interns have to do presentations at the end of summer where they get to showcase all the things that they've learned throughout the summer and all the projects that they worked on. So having those presentation skills really came in handy. In addition to that, another internship that I did was with Red Hat, and that was a sales internship. So something really important with that is being able to problem solve with different people and being able to work with different clients and work with your coworkers. And I found that the skills I learned in university really helped me succeed.
That's great. It certainly sounds like a great program that helps you prepare for real world experience. Let's talk about your experience with the IT Media Group. In your role as the digital marketing strategist, you were responsible for our content and digital marketing plan and execution. We made a decision to assign you some really big responsibilities that would typically require seasoned experience. You took on the challenge in flying colors. I'd like to hear about your experience and also what would you consider as some of your proudest accomplishments?
So I'm incredibly thankful that I got to take on more responsibility because I felt that it gave me a lot of creative freedom and it allowed me to push myself to become a better marketer and a better storyteller. So basically this summer, I was responsible for creating a digital and content marketing plan. And I was able to put that together using the knowledge that I've learned from my previous internships and also the knowledge that I've learned throughout my university experience. So this project was really able to challenge me to think outside of the box and just really push myself in general. Now, one of the aspects of this plan was to enhance the company's video portfolio. And I found that to be one of my most proud projects to work on and something that I was really passionate about because I got to combine creativity with video making and just put everything together and create something really special. And this project required me to learn, new skills, work with different software. I had to use Beyond Animation to create the video, and I also had to use Adobe Premiere Pro to just edit different videos and edit different projects. And I'd previously used some of these things before, but this experience really allowed me to have a refresher and just learn new skills in general. So I got to experience the entire video making process, all the way from script writing to storyboarding, narration, and just putting the whole video together was such an amazing experience. And it really helped me learn how to tell a proper and compelling story and really hook the audience in. So that's just something that I'm really proud of.
Well, that's great to hear. I'm so glad you had such a positive experience. Having completed 3 internships, what would be your advice for your peers looking for work in this current economic climate?
Well, something that's personally really helped me get my foot in the door is networking. And I genuinely don't think I would have been able to get any of the previous internships that I've had without making those kinds of connections. Something that's really, really important is mentorship and looking out and getting those proper mentors that you need that can help you. And you can simply do that just by reaching out to people who work at companies that you're passionate about or people who are in the job positions that you aspire to have, and just asking simply for a coffee chat. And I know in this current climate, it can be kind of tough to do those face to face connections and meet people in person. So, something that I found really helpful personally this summer was doing virtual coffee chats. And I found that those were just as effective. And in terms of the interview process and really getting your resume out there, I think something that's really great now is the amount of resources that are available online and just in general, whether it's books, whether it's courses, whether it's learning new skills. I think those are really important things to do and to add to your resume that will really make it stand out. And also just doing those things for yourself to really just broaden your skill sets. In terms of the actual interview itself, one of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard was to always ask really great questions. And that's just putting together 3 to 4 really good open-ended questions, whether it's about the job position, the company culture, or the interviewer. I think it's important to do your research and really understand things about the company, things about this position, and it'll really show that you've done your research and you've done your homework and you truly, truly care about this position. And lastly, one of the things I found most effective is also reaching out to interviewers after the fact and thanking them, and also even just asking for some feedback, which is something that I personally found very helpful. For example, previously there was an internship that I really, really wanted and I didn't end up getting. So I decided to reach out to the interviewer and ask if we could maybe have a virtual coffee chat and just discuss some things that I could have done better. And throughout this conversation, I got wonderful feedback, great tips, and great advice for future interviews. And these are things that I've taken on with me to future opportunities and I found to be really successful.
Those are really excellent advice and very useful tips for your peers. I'm also curious about your perspectives for employers who are considering talent from your generation.
Well, I think Generation Z is really becoming a huge part of this workforce. I mean, we're really willing to roll up our sleeves, think differently, and do our absolute best because I think we're trying to prove ourselves. And something that's really, really unique about this generation is that we're very multifaceted. We are entrepreneurs with our own online businesses, artists, coders, musicians, social media experts and writers. And all these things were essentially self-taught with just the resources that are available. So we are in some way a generation that can't just sit back and wait for things to happen. We always go out and we do things ourselves. And I believe that that really, really sets us apart and it makes us an asset to any company, especially companies that are looking for innovation and creativity, because we're able to do so much more with less. We can essentially be one person that does, a bunch of different jobs. So I think that that is a really huge asset to any company. And another thing that's great about this generation is that we're very much purpose driven. So we don't just do things for the sake of doing them. We really want to do meaningful work and we want to make a difference and drive change. And I think that's something that we really, really need in today's climate.
That's very well said, Emily. I really appreciate your sharing your experiences and perspectives with me today, and all the best to you in your graduating year. This is another episode of Executive Insights. You're watching the Next Generation edition. Thank you for tuning in.